I'm not a therapist. I'm not a life coach. I'm a mom. So, yeah, you saw me breaking down. That was tough. Tears. Today I will allow my tears to come. How they've been locked up in a jar. That's what I read. Where is it? I can't find it. Tears accumulate. There we go. Tears accumulate in some plain jar inside my chest. I know the jar is full, but I can't empty it. The child inside tells me crying isn't what grown-ups do. It is inappropriate to let people see the pain leak out. It isn't appropriate to let people see the pain leak out, is it? Crying means weakness, and we can't be weak, we must be strong. Feelings that I'm feeling. When I left my congregation, I'm in the Aliso Viejo area in California. It's raining right now. It never rains. It very rarely rains in California. So does the rain affect individuals? Maybe kind of the outside affects the behavior inside. I think somebody had told me that. Possibly. Or it just was what I read. I left my congregation. It was the Lake Forest congregation. And there was a ministerial servant. His wife was going through Alzheimer's. And he would say prayers. And his prayers were so touching, and he would cry. And I thought, that's a real man. He can cry right in front of us, in front of 140 people. I think men need to do that more often. He had a lot of pressure. As Jehovah's Witnesses, we really don't put a whole lot of effort in helping the people inside the congregation. I was proud of my congregation because they would help, but as an organization, there isn't a whole lot of help for people who have family members that are ill or dealing with emotional issues, depression, Alzheimer's. There's no particular place for them to find help. There isn't. I feel sad for the people who are left behind and stuck in a situation where they can't really understand what's happening, why the corporation is so bent on being abusive. They are bent on being abusive. There are individuals in the congregations that are kind, but the higher ups do not have that. They don't have that heart that is necessary for good leadership. Jesus cried. He cried with people. He cried for people. These men don't cry. These men that are supposed to lead in a spiritual so-called fight in heaven, I've never seen any of them cry for individuals here on the earth. It tells me something about their character, because you look at human beings and how could you not cry for them? How could you not feel pain for them? I don't know. I just don't understand that. Tears feel good when they come out. I feel bad for people who are stuck. I was stuck in a marriage where two conflicting beliefs. My husband believed his way and I believed my way, and my children were stuck in the middle. And it's so sad too, because individuals that are long timers in the organization, you'd think they'd have more compassion for someone like me. But I got a lot of seasoned women who would tell me, oh, well, just tell your husband that, you're going to marry somebody new in the new world and you're going to find someone else. In all our conflicts that we had in our beliefs, he never said anything like that to me. He never said, oh, well, you know what? I'm going to get a newer, better version of you because I can find someone here now to live with me here and now, not in the future or not for the future. He never did anything like that. And one sister who told me that she was married to an unbeliever and her daughter left the organization. She had a son and a daughter, and the son never came in, and the daughter left the organization. The husband that she married provided well for her, and he was very, he was very good to her. They had their ups and downs, but when I asked her, well, have you done that to your husband? Oh, no. No. Then why would you ask me to do that to mine? Just because my husband got baptized and no longer believes the same way that I do or did, why would I do that to him? That just that's not very compassionate or kind to someone that you married, that you love. I never did that to my husband, although I was encouraged by that sister and another sister who's never been married. So, no, I hope you don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that to your mate. That's not a motivating force if you want to get them to being one of Jehovah's Witnesses. Now, remember, I'm telling you my story. So I was a long-time believer, over 30 years, born and raised as one of Jehovah's Witnesses. I was considered a single mom, someone who was married to an apostate, or one circuit overseer told me he was an unbeliever because he had left for, he'd been gone for so many years. My husband left the organization over 20 years ago. So I would go to the meeting every week by myself. I would go to assemblies by myself. And our congregations that I've been in, both in the East Coast and the West Coast, people are not boiling over to help a woman with 2 children. And I saw other families that had multiple kids back east, more so than here, where they had opportunities. The congregation had opportunities to help these individuals, and they didn't help them. So if you're a single parent and you're struggling, that was my struggle. I would imagine that would be the case for most single parents. It's not easy to go to the meetings and assemblies by yourself, and especially if the assemblies are not local. For me, I remember when we lived in the East Coast, we lived in Alexandria, Virginia, and we'd have to go to Richmond. And my child was newborn. At that point, my husband did go with me to one of the assemblies, and then my mother-in-law went to another assembly with me in 2 separate years. But that was such an experience, and it's so stressful to be away from your mate for a number of days with your children by yourself. And my mate happened to care for my children. So, I mean, sometimes it's a nice break if you don't have a good mate. But if your mate and you love the person and you like being around them, then that is a trial in itself. Yeah, so these are the feelings that are coming up. You know, all the lies that people are told, and they're already struggling, single moms, married to unbelievers, or vice versa. It's hard. It's hard to put into words all that time that you miss with the mate that you loved. And that angers me. And I would hope that individuals would be kind to mates that are not Jehovah's Witnesses, and vice versa. That mates that are not witnesses would be kind to their mates that are Jehovah's Witnesses, and see the struggle. It's not easy. It wasn't easy for me to leave my husband. So those are the feelings that I'm having. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful that I have a good man and a good marriage. I counted years ago. 5 years ago. How many people got married when we got married in the Ocean View congregation in Huntington Beach. There were like 12 couples. Out of the 12 couples, 2 are still married. And I'm out with my husband now. And so we're out of the 2 couples. We're no longer practicing Jehovah's Witnesses. And the other couple is in Bethel in the Philippines. And the last time I saw her, she's like, "Oh, you had children." Oh, so it's sad to think about individuals that have sacrificed their lives and they don't have much of a fallback. They're stuck there in that position in the organization in Bethel. If they have differing opinions or they see wrongs, they're stuck. It's not like they can just up and leave and know that they have a safe place to land. It's going to take a struggle to come back to a regular life. I think it's all of that. It's knowing all of that. Me knowing those things, the sacrifices that people make, and wow, knowing that I made so much time was lost because I didn't see things. And I remember my grandmother saying, "How could you be one of Jehovah's Witnesses when you know your brother was hurt?" And that was some 15 years ago when she told me that, and I didn't really think about it. Didn't really want to hear it. I didn't. I was really so stubborn about it. I recently went over some Bible reading about the Pharisees and how they stoned Stephen. And they shut their ears because they didn't want to hear what Stephen was saying, and then they go and kill him. And to some extent, I know I was like that. I know I was. And that's sad. I didn't want to hear it. I would hope that whoever you're dealing with that doesn't want to hear it will eventually open their heart and see it. It took me 20 years. Mind you, I was raised in that cult. It was, that cult-like vice, slave-like vice, so it makes it really hard. And I had bad things happen to my family, and I still didn't see it. So yeah, I don't know what it takes. I just know that Frederick Douglass and my book Najud helped. That helped so much to hear her experience, and seeing Eric Wilson and how he was treated by a bunch of bullies at the Kingdom Hall. There were like 12 men waiting for him for his testimony, and he didn't want to go in with that many people, and you could see some brothers were really mean and were ready to throw down, and it was just this little person he didn't have an army with him. He had just himself, a couple of other friends that were willing to go with him, and then there were brothers that were standing there, and I think they were expecting something, more of an angry mob with Eric, and no, and you could see it in their eyes. They were kind of like, well, what's going on? This is the person that we're supposed to be worried about? Yeah. That treatment, that horrible treatment of individuals who have a differing view and who have knowledge of the scriptures and know that what we're taught is wrong. That there's been great detail in keeping us from knowing the truth about the Bible, the true meaning of the scriptures. Those men are supposed to be responsible for over 8 billion people on the earth. I want to see some tears. I want to see some crying. I want to see a person behind the words that when they go up on the pulpits and preach. And I just don't see that. I don't see real people. And that makes me angry, and that makes me sad, and that makes me frustrated about how it has bled into my choices and my life. That's how I'm feeling today. I had to think about it. I had to really think about what am I feeling here? And that's what I'm feeling. The sadness of not being, I can't see truth. This whole time I never saw truth. I didn't see the right truth. And I didn't dig deep enough, and I closed myself off to it. And that I wish I hadn't done. So, it's my journey. Thank you for listening. I hope it helps. I hope it helps somebody who's listening. I hope it helps someone who hopes someone will listen, or just take some time out and listen with an open heart and an open mind. I appreciate you listening and coming on my journey, and follow your bliss. Be good humans.